The art of worrying less. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca, listen carefully to those words. Let them settle like embers cooling in the quiet of night. Now, picture this. It is dawn in Rome. The streets are still dark, the stones damp with morning dew. Somewhere, a baker pulls fresh bread from the oven, the crust crackling softly as it meets the cool air. The scent of grain and wood smoke drifts into the narrow streets. And in a quiet villa not far away, a man sits by lamplight, his face half hidden in shadow. He is writing, not for us, not for history, but for himself. His name is Seneca. He writes about fear, about worry, about how most of what torments us never truly happens. And as the nib of his pen scratches against parchment, you can almost hear the weight of his reflection, that our minds invent storms far greater than the sky ever sends. Pause with me here. Think of your own worries, the unanswered messages, the deadlines that creep closer, the awkward silence in a conversation that replays endlessly in your mind. Notice how heavy they feel in the moment, and then notice how, days later, many dissolve into nothing. Yet your body still bore the tension, your breath still shortened, your chest still tightened. Seneca would call this a tragedy we write for ourselves, a play where we rehearse our suffering long before it arrives, if it arrives at all. And yet, you and I are no different from those Romans 2,000 years ago. Our bread is baked in machines, our lamps are powered by wires, but the mind that worries, it is the same. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Imagine him, the emperor, the most powerful man in the known world, wrapped in a cloak against the cold, seated in a war tent at night. Outside, soldiers whisper near the campfires. Inside, Marcus writes to himself, reminding his own heart not to be carried away by fear of what tomorrow might bring. Even an emperor could not silence the uncertainty of the future. But he could, with ink and reflection, remind himself, worry lives only where you allow it. And so can we. Let's bring this closer to your world. Think of the last time you worried about a conversation you hadn't yet had. You imagined the other person's response, their anger, their disappointment. Maybe you played it again and again like a scene in a movie. And when the day came, often it was softer, kinder, or shorter than your mind rehearsed. The disaster lived only in your imagination. So what do we do with this? How do we practice the art of worrying less? Here is your first step. Notice the difference between imagination and reality. When worry arises, pause. Ask yourself, is this happening now or only in my mind? Write it down if you must. See it on the page. Separate the storm you've invented from the sky you are standing under. Tonight, remember this. You carry enough weight already. Do not carry the shadows of a future that may never come. Action for today. The next time worry grabs you, take one deep breath and whisper to yourself, this is not happening now. Anchor yourself to this moment. The Roman dawn lingers. The baker's bread still rests warm on the wooden table, and Marcus Aurelius still writes by the faint glow of his oil lamp. We left him there, whispering into his own soul. The pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Now, let us step closer. Imagine him setting down his pen, looking at the flame and breathing, just breathing. An emperor surrounded by uncertainty, wars, politics, betrayals, but in that quiet moment, all he could control was himself, his breath, his thoughts, his next action. You see, the Stoics never promised a life without difficulty. They knew the world was harsh, unpredictable, and full of suffering. What they discovered, and what they invite us to practice, is that worry adds nothing to our strength, but robs much from our peace. Epictetus, once a slave, taught this with a clarity few could ignore. He said, "Some things are up to us, and some are not. He had no wealth, no freedom, at least at first, but he carried within him an unshakable compass. If something is outside my control, I will not waste my life clinging to it. Imagine the sound of chains rattling at his ankles, and yet his voice steady, unwavering. No one can enslave my mind. Now bring this to your life. Your worry often attaches itself to what is not yours to control. The weather tomorrow, the economy next year, the thoughts in another person's head. Notice how much of your energy is spent rehearsing outcomes you cannot bend. Epictetus would tell you, leave those to the gods or to fate. Attend only to what is yours, your judgment, your actions, your choices. Let us pause here. Think of the last worry that kept you awake. Perhaps it was about money, or about what someone might think of you. Did that worry, that constant circling, bring you closer to a solution? Or did it only drain you? Here lies the second step in the art of worrying less. Sort your worries. When a thought arises, ask, is this within my control? If yes, act even in a small way. If no, release it, even if you must remind yourself 100 times a day. To help, I want to tell you a story. In the Senate, long ago, there was a Roman statesman awaiting trial. He had spoken against men more powerful than himself. His friends whispered anxiously, pacing. They listed all the ways it could go wrong. And yet he sat quietly, a cup of wine in hand. Someone asked, "How can you be so calm?" He answered simply, "I have done my part. The rest is not mine." And history tells us he was condemned. But even in condemnation, he did not tremble, because he had already chosen his freedom, freedom from worry about the uncontrollable. Now, picture your own Senate, the workplace, the classroom, the home. Imagine yourself sitting there, not paralyzed by fear of outcomes, but anchored in what you can do now. That is Stoicism made flesh in the modern world. Action for today. Before bed tonight, take a piece of paper. Write down 2 columns. Worries I cannot control. Worries I can act on. Then let the first column go. Tear it, burn it, or fold it away. For the second column, choose one small action for tomorrow. Just one. This is how you train the muscle of the mind to release the unnecessary. The sun is rising now over Rome. The baker's loaves are sold. The soldiers are awake in their camps. And Marcus Aurelius sets aside his writing tablet. He stands, stretches, and prepares himself for the day ahead. But before he steps into the noise of empire, decisions, arguments, wars, he whispers a reminder. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He doesn't just write it, he lives it. This is the hidden secret of the Stoics. Wisdom is not in the words alone, but in the rituals that root them into daily life. So let's step inside these rituals. Marcus, Seneca, Epictetus. All of them practiced something simple but profound, beginning and ending each day with reflection. In the morning, Marcus asked himself, what troubles might I face today? A selfish man, an angry man, a deceitful man. But none of these can harm me unless I allow them to. Why did he do this? Because he knew worry thrives in surprise. When you expect life to test you, you no longer fear it when it does. At night, Seneca looked back over his day. He would lie in bed and replay his actions. Where did I lose patience? Where did I worry without reason? Where did I succeed in being calm? This gentle self-audit stripped tomorrow of unnecessary fear. And Epictetus? He trained his students to imagine loss before it came. When you kiss your child, whisper to yourself, tomorrow he may die. To modern ears, this sounds cruel. But to him, it was liberation. By remembering that nothing is guaranteed, he freed himself from clinging, and with that, from needless worry. Now let's bridge this to you. Worry in your life often slips in through the cracks of routine. You wake up and scroll through messages before your feet touch the ground. Already, your mind is racing ahead. Or at night, you lie in bed replaying the unfinished tasks of the day. What if instead you adopted a Stoic ritual? In the morning, take 5 quiet breaths before checking a screen. Whisper to yourself, "Whatever comes, I will meet it with steadiness." In the evening, write down 3 worries you faced. Ask, were they real or only imagined? Then release them before sleep. This practice is small, but as Seneca said, life is long if you know how to use it. And each day, used well, is a training ground for freedom. Let me leave you with a final story. A Roman soldier once asked a Stoic teacher how to find peace in a world of constant war. The teacher handed him a cup of water. The soldier looked confused. Then the teacher struck the table so the water spilled. "See," he said, "you cannot stop the table from shaking, but you can learn not to cling to the cup." This is the art of worrying less, not in pretending the world is steady, but in learning to steady yourself. Your final step for today. Before you sleep tonight, write 1 line. This day has ended. Its worries end with it. Close the notebook. Close your eyes. Let the night keep what is not yours to carry. And now I thank you for listening, for reflecting, for daring to step into this ancient practice with me. Remember, the storms will come as they came for emperors and slaves alike. But peace was always theirs to choose, and it is yours as well.